You should be good, Mayor.
We're good? Okay. All right. Welcome to the North Logan City Council, May 18th, 2022 meeting. We will begin, it looks like we don't need to excuse anyone. We will begin with the pledge by Buzzy, after which Craig will give the opening prayer.
Will the audience please rise and repeat after me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, as we commence this meeting this night, we are grateful for the freedoms of which we enjoy. Grateful for military personnel and us that would bless them as they serve throughout this country. Bless that we'll be able to make wise decisions and processes, be able to hear all those that need to speak to issues. Grateful for the freedoms which you have in this country. It says, in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. We will start by with the adoption of the agenda with one change to that. With a mind towards continuing to act in good faith with this eminent domain matter and in hopes of reaching a fair resolution of the issue at hand, we have agreed to continue that eminent domain hearing to June 15th. One note that I want to add before I call for a vote to that alteration of the agenda is that while I acknowledge that property rights can be an emotional issue, we cannot let those discussions escalate into telling falsehoods and attacking character. Our city is small enough that we as elected officials know that we quite literally will have to answer to our constituents, whether it's in a formal meeting or at the grocery store, or at church, or the soccer game. Accordingly, we have an expectation that our fellow citizens recognize that we are human beings who are doing our best to vote according to our consciences and acknowledging that we are acting as agents of the city and in the best interest of our citizens. In my profession, I've been trained to adhere to facts and leave emotions out of it. I believe that North Logan has a culture of adhering to higher principles of ethics and not just what is legally, minimally required. We will delay this hearing 30 days, but in the meantime, I want to be clear that I expect honesty and civility from those involved. With that, I'd accept a motion to modify our agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by Buzzy, seconded by Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. I believe that we have March 23rd, 2022 meeting minutes and closed session meeting minutes from that same day that are ready for approval. Do I have a motion on that?
Motion to approve. A second.
All right, motion by Emily, second by Joni. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. Alan, do we have follow-up on issues from previous meetings and or action items?
I can just run through the action items really quick. Jumping through this, we'll talk about the Civic Center later on in this meeting. So I'll jump through that. And the communication committee, we have two new interns. We'll work together on that to discuss communication, some of the goals and the strategic directives that the mayor and the city council have put together several months ago when taking office, and the things that we want to push forward there and keep having those increased communications with the public and opportunities for the public to communicate with the city as well. So we'll work on those. Water, we're wrapping up our application to the USDA for our bond for water improvements. We'll talk about some of those improvements a little bit later tonight, but things are moving in the right direction there. But we do have a large amount of water education going out amongst the community. the highest water users in commercial, institutional, and residential. And we're working with each one of them to look at opportunities to help create significant reduction in those areas of water usage again across the board, but specifically the education letters went out to the highest users, highest 10% in each area. So we'll work with them in lowering that. And we've already had several discussions this week, and we'll continue those discussions in the future. Probably looking at a flip the strip program as well in the coming weeks. It's a small effort, but it would help across the board. You'll probably see that in the next couple of weeks, I would imagine. Sewer, we're wrapping up our application of the DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, for a bond for our main trunk line. That's our main trunk line that goes from the west side of North Logan all the way down to near Gosner in Logan to tie into the line that goes to the treatment plant. We have to replace that, and so that's our major bond that we'll have to apply for here shortly. Streets, they are going out and doing crack sealing, surface repair, and actually helping out the stormwater department and looking to some methods for actually working on inlet boxes to prevent some pollutants from getting into the inlet boxes through myriad methods. They might experiment with that in the coming months. Engineering, they're working on each of the items I've just laid out, including the 12th East project. 12th East section for about 2350, 2400 north to about 2750 north, which we have funding for, but we're working with each of the property owners there to make sure it's a smooth process in setting that up. Parks, they're extremely busy right now. They'll start irrigating soon, so it's a massive undertaking to irrigate all of our parkland throughout the city. So they're getting that set up, working through all the kinks, and getting things set up in those areas. Trails, Bonneville Shoreline Trail, we'll have a couple more meetings with Carly from the county and the trails coordinator. Canal Trails will also meet with her on that aspect. And we've had some good discussions in the past few weeks with both the CMPO and the county trails coordinator for trails throughout the city. Recreation, again, soccer just wrapped up, but they're moving right into baseball. They're actually doing something kind of innovative right now, though. They're looking at working with the senior citizens. They went to the senior luncheon. We have the largest senior luncheon, largest senior program in the valley in North Logan. And they went and they started working with them to see what kinds of, they did a survey to what kind of programs would they be interested in. And they had some very good positive feedback about what they would like to see programs in the city and things that they'll start working on in the coming months. Baseball, again, largest baseball program in the valley by far, probably double the next highest city. And that's on par for all of North Logan's programs throughout our city. Hats off to the recreation department. Coming through, facilities is working on several of the buildings, doing some upkeep. Cemetery prepping for Memorial Day. Love the Memorial Day program. Just as a note, everyone will probably remind you at the end again. It's the 30th this year. It's the last Monday of the month at 11 a.m. It's about a 45-minute program. It should be a very well done program as always, with tributes to veterans and speeches and some music at that program. Coming down through community development, tomorrow night we will have the combined workshop. And so you guys are on double duty this week to come to this meeting and the meeting tomorrow night. Spencer's put together several different aspects related to land use development, transportation, mixed use discussion. There'll be several things on the docket.
And is there anyone that's not going to be able to make that? Okay.
Okay, jumping down through economic development, again, still wrapping up the CRA. That's fantastic. The school district signed off on that, and we're just ready to push that forward. Treasurer, they're working on the dispatch fund and also helping out with new utility billing templates. You'll see that as well. Just jumping down through here, we met with the HR intern today. We have a new intern. We'll start working on several items related to wellness, related to employee incentive programs and other things throughout the city. Recorder will work on budgetary items tonight. You'll see that, and especially June 1st. June 1st is a massive meeting for budget consideration, RDA budget consideration, property tax discussion regarding a proposed property tax increase, if that is going to happen. And so you'll see that all in the next meeting coming up. Library has massive programs coming up, and we'll go over some of the events at the end of this meeting. And police, they're helping us with the nuisance properties. We've seen some progress in the last 2 weeks with that, so it's up to them. And we'll talk a little more about police tonight. And then the fire department, they finished their airport rescue firefighting. They had the training this past week, and they're working on their station right now. I think they're going out to request for proposals soon on that. Sorry, I jumped through several items there. If there's anything else I skipped over, if you have questions about anything.
Thanks, Ellen. I appreciate that. All right, we will move on to recognition of our exemplary staff member. Tonight, we are recognizing Lauren Bell from the library. James Britch nominated her and wrote the following. Lauren Bell started as a library page a few years ago and excelled at her duties. Page is the title we give our entry-level employees, and their duties may include putting back books, sorting, keeping the shelves neat and tidy, and helping out with library events. Lauren handled her duties with a smile, an approachability, and a pleasant attitude. Lauren is a natural leader. Coworkers twice her age enjoy working with her and follow her lead without even realizing they are doing it. We promoted Lauren to the position of circulation desk clerk when she was a junior in high school, but less than a year later, we promoted her to library page supervisor. The pages loved her, and she was an excellent leader. Lauren also excelled as a leader when we held our annual Harry Potter party. She volunteered to lead and organize the event. It is one of the largest events of the year with nearly 500 people in attendance. Lauren organized high school student volunteers, coordinated games, and made sure everything went smoothly. The party was a huge success. Lauren loves math. She recently volunteered to help with the ultimate story problem. She helped figure out the layout of new bookcases that will go in the library after it is remodeled. Figuring out how many bookcases we will need for the amount of books in the library, over 60,000 books in the given space, and figuring out the depth, height, and width of the bookcases is actually very difficult. She did a fantastic job figuring it out. Lauren deserves to be recognized for her leadership, her fantastic attitude, and her willingness to take on difficult tasks. She's also a darn nice person. I had to edit that from James. He's a swear. Just kidding. He put darn. Anyway, Lauren, we hear such great things from you and understand that you're on to really great things. So thank you so much for your work for the city, and let's give her a hand. Okay, next we have a proclamation recognizing Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Whereas the health and safety of all North Logan City residents is important to the happiness, prosperity, and well-being of our families and our community. And whereas North Logan City is part of the North Park Police Agency and is served by 14 officers in the agency, along with 13 key individuals within the department. And whereas these officers stand as leaders enforcing our laws and educating our community about the importance of public safety. And whereas we appreciate the extraordinary efforts and sacrifices made by officers and their family members on a daily basis in order to protect us in our schools, workplaces, roadways, homes, and while recreating. And whereas NPPA officers strive to do their best to recognize, safeguard, and protect the rights of all citizens, now therefore, I, Lindsay Peterson, Mayor of North Logan City, Utah, do hereby proclaim the 18th of May, 2022 as Law Enforcement Appreciation Day in the city of North Logan, and encourage our citizens to do something special for our communities, peacekeepers, and to take the time to show appreciation for the risks and sacrifices our officers undertake while protecting our community. Just to speak to this, we're so grateful for the North Park Police Department, or the police agency, and we know that they go above and beyond and are a really efficient police agency. They do a lot with a little, and we appreciate their efforts in keeping our city safe. Give them a hand. Let's give them a hand. Okay, with that, we will move on to the action items on the agenda, starting with consideration of a development plan, development agreement, and preliminary plat for the Smiling H subdivision, approximately 40 acres located at 700 East, 2500 North. The proposed subdivision includes 111 lots in the R112 zone and is being proposed to be subdivided using the density determinant method. Spencer, yeah, if you wouldn't mind speaking to this.
Yeah, we've had this subdivision in front of us quite a few times. We're back at development plan, which is the last step that it's in front of the city council. I'll step through a couple of the highlights and changes. Obviously, there's a lot of information in these plans that staff has to go over, but I'll step through some of the key things. So a couple things we've worked out, sewer alignment. There were some questions as to if that needed to go north, if that needed to punch through in a different location. Ultimately, we were able to work with the developer and get a connection through a cul-de-sac, the furthest north cul-de-sac there, that wouldn't impact our existing lines or existing residents there, and didn't need any additional easements. So that's one of the key things. Another element that is slightly different is the count. Was 111 when approved at concept plan. That's what was noticed, listed on the plans. When they went back through the lots and checked the numbering was off in a location, or in some of them. Some numbers were skipped essentially. So there were actually physically only 107 lots drawn. So they were approved for 111. There were only 107 lots. They were just numbered wrong. So they did come in to the south and they realigned roads slightly to get, they got a couple more lots out of that. I don't think they got up to that 111, correct me if I'm wrong, 110. So they're still -1 from what they were approved, but they did adjust some lots because of that numbering issue. So we do have a development agreement that we're still working through. I know Alan has been working closely on that. I don't know if there's anything else we want to touch on, Alan, as far as the highlights on this plan.
No, I think you've hit on just about everything. The few things that we'll have to look at, and that's up to the developer for getting the sewer figured out through here, is just the trail through here that would connect into 8th East, and then along here, just to indicate, it's indicated in the development agreement, but there would be a paved path along the east side of 6th East going north. The reason that would be there is because it would tie into the existing canal path. They would go along this canal, but through this portion, it would be piped. And so to get people off the canal path, they would have to get over to this point, go along this portion of the road, then get right back on the canal path at that point. Obviously, the city would have to pay the difference in cost between a sidewalk and a paved path through that portion. Those are things that slight adjustments we would need to add. There's some minor adjustments in here for a few lots. They're a little bit too small. They would just have to adjust them. Like this lot right here, it goes under the threshold of the 10,000, but working with the lot to the east of it, now I can't speak for the developers, but working with the lot to the east of it, they could obviously meet that 10,000 square foot threshold, which they can't go below. So those are some of the things that we received in the plans.
So this is the first time I'm seeing most of these documents. Have we had them before today, or am I echoing?
You're echoing, and I'm sorry about that. We're trying to figure that out, but we did receive them today.
Okay.
And so there are the minor edits that Spencer went through, but yes, we did receive the CD set, so the construction and development set today.
Okay. The council, I'm going to leave it to you, but I would prefer to discuss this today, but have a little bit longer to just make sure that we're not overlooking anything. But I will leave that to the council to decide. Any questions on this?
I have not had a chance to look at it, so I would love to have a little more time just so that we don't miss anything. And if there's questions, would love to be able to reach out to you and get those addressed.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't delved into this at all, and I feel unprepared to make any sort of decision tonight. So
I'll make a motion to table, but I did want to mention, since you guys are here tonight, thanks for coming back. We spoke a few months ago about some concerns from citizens about the quality of the structures. Do you remember talking about this? And thought we would hope you would consider maybe a bit of an open house to show your design standards for this neighborhood. And I'm just hoping that's still in consideration. It's not a requirement under these agreements, but that continues to be a theme I'm not exactly sure why, and I don't want to try to explain why, but there is concern about the quality of the product that's going to be built in this subdivision specifically. And I would tell you at least 40 calls on that. So just something to consider. But
Yeah, you're welcome to
Yeah.
speak to that.
yeah,
Yeah, we need it on the record.
Matthew Bishop, Olo Capital out of Ogden. Happy to have an open house. I'll work with Alan and we'll schedule a day with one of our homes that makes sense when it's at a stage where the tours could be given. The other one thing I would like to add is Alan mentioned that we were going to do the path down along the side of 6 East. We chose to do that, or we offered to do that for the city instead of just leaving it as a sidewalk, was because I didn't want to have a crosswalk there in that kind of funny area with that. I thought it would be more dangerous. So if we're already going to have a crosswalk intersection there at 6th and 2500, I thought that just from a safety for the people on the path, it made more sense. But if you guys would rather have it go along the canal, I'm happy to do that, and not have to put in a 8-foot wide asphalt path along that section. But I just think it'd be better to do it like we have.
No, I appreciate that. I think that is ultimately a better solution.
And everything else, I think it's been worked through, and it's been, Spencer, Jordan, Alan have been a pleasure to work with and trying to figure out the best solutions
No, that's great.
for everybody. But yeah, absolutely.
yeah, thanks.
Also, the other thing is it will be phased, and we'll work on the south section first, because we won't be able to get the sewer for the north until after October timeframe, when the canal is shut down again.
Mm.
So we'll do the south section first, and then we'll move into the north section. But it'll be one right after the other. It won't really be a delay.
One other thing that we've asked the developer to do, and they provided this, are options for fencing, uniform fencing along the subdivision to address some of the concerns that have been brought up, the council, by the public. And the developer has brought this, as we requested, as an option for fencing along this roadway.
It'll be 2,500
On
north.
2,500, sorry.
North
This
and
wouldn't be
south.
6th East or anything else. This is 2,500.
More north and south sides.
I'm so happy to see this. But this is.
I did it just for you.
Thank you. Well, and not just for the same sentiment as what Buzzy had, was the phone calls and the concerns as you drive down 2,500 north on the west side, that when homes have the backyards backed up to a sidewalk, you will inevitably have a pile of
Balls.
weeds, and everybody's fence looks different. So there's no, like, this is our gateway. So we really would love to see the gateway, something that we can all be proud of and not have a concern in 20 years from now. So this takes care of a big thing. That's the positive I'd like to say. The second, design standards for front elevations, that's the biggest one too, is we are really hearing, and I feel the same way, because I've lived in different places where we've had production built homes, and just having a change of elevation and something that's that timeless classic. If you do that, this, I think, will be embraced a lot more. If you can
So
go that way.
Typically how Olo Capital and Olo Builders work hand in glove on this, but we also reserve the right to sell off sections to maybe a Karchner home if they were so interested in coming in and buying a section of the lots. But our customers, we have about 20 different floor plans, and they can select any one of those. So we don't do, cookie cutter 1, 2, 3 type of floor plans. Also, there's about 5 different elevations, meaning changing whether it's a craftsman or whether it's a farmhouse or whether it's kind of a more modern design with the angular roofs, et cetera, or mountain style home. So we have multiple different elevations. We will require some rock and non vinyl on the fronts from just a quality perspective, and whether that'll be part of the CCNR. So whether it's us, Olo Builders building them, or somebody else, there'll be a certain minimum standard of quality, so
Okay.
that it's not just slapped together.
Excellent. And if it's Karchner Homes that comes in, I would still say the same.
Yeah,
Can we,
no, I
you know,
understand.
we'd love to see the timeless look you get as you go through Logan. You know, you drive through there, there's certain sections of our community here in the valley that are still timeless and people want to live in that area. So if you could do that, I think the fact that you're developing a big piece of property that has been endured for so many generations, that would be great if you could leave something really spectacular.
We will
Yeah.
certainly strive to achieve that. I'm working right now on a landscaping plan, and so there will be trees planted by the developer down all the streets, so that hopefully as they grow and they get bigger, we'll have nice tree-lined streets and then
Okay,
turn into a really nice community for the homeowners.
Okay,
thank you.
great. Any other discussion?
I guess I would just move that we table the consideration for this approval to June 1st, I believe, right, Mayor?
Yeah, that's our next
So-
meeting.
Second.
And Buzzy will be chairing that one. So,
Uh-oh.
all right. So moved by Buzzy, second by Emily. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Thank you.
Very much.
All right, we will move on to consideration of a concept plan for the Carlson. Is that how you say that?
Carlson.
Carlson Place subdivision, approximately 2.17 acres, located at approximately 2,700 north, 400 east. The proposed subdivision includes 6 lots in the R112 zone and is being proposed to be subdivided using the density determinant method.
Yes, I'll step you through this one. Yeah, this is it's a little bit further south, Alan. There you go. 2.17 acres just north of Aspen Meadows subdivision, kind of kitty corner to Meadowview Park, Cache Recreation Complex area right there. It is in the R112 zone, and the maximum density for that acreage in that zone will be 7 lots. With the widths and the frontages and the road layout, they were able to get 6 lots. So they're within the density. There's no rezone on this one. If you want to switch over to that concept plan, it's pretty straightforward. The one thing that's different with this one is just the road layout. So as far as the road layout goes, to the left of the screen is the south half of the parcel. In order to get this road to line up, it has to curve, as you can see near the top of the page, line up with that street across the way. This road is going to be against existing fences and backyards. So basically the developer, instead of putting in a standard city street that would have sidewalk on both sides and the sidewalk next to the fence wouldn't be used ever, they're looking at doing a private street. This can't go through, it won't go through. Hyde Park actually borders that east side. So there's no need for this road to go through to the east. And this allows them to have a little bit of a modified cross section with just sidewalk on the north. And then they'd have a turnaround. They don't quite have the room for a cul-de-sac because it's a little bit narrow, the dimensions. So they would look to do different modified IFC approved turnaround there. So this is the basic layout with the 6 lots. They're all over that 12,000 square feet. And it is fairly straightforward. The Planning Commission did review this and did give it a positive recommendation unanimously in their last meeting.
I'm curious, and it's okay if they don't have an answer to the question, but there's a tiny bit of land right at the very south right where the road. Do they have any? It's not very big. What do they have planned to do with that? I'm curious.
Right. And I don't know if you want to speak to this, Chris, or I can take it.
So on that south side, the subdivision on the south, if you look down that fence line, the elevation's nuts. So I gave it, Spencer's like, you can go right up to the property line. I was like, well, I think we'll need a few feet there to at least kind of match some sort of grade. I had planned on all of because we're doing swells instead of curb and gutter. So like along the south, between the sidewalk and the road, and then on 4th East, I'd planned on putting the same kind of landscape rock everywhere to kind of match it. And that'll be where the stormwater goes to. So that just gives me a little space to kind of do something with the grade. Get the dirt somewhat leveled out. The north side's nice and flat, but the south side's pretty much.
Yeah, I walk
so-
by it a lot, so I'm
I
I'm
wish I
excited.
could go right to it, but it wouldn't, it'd look really funny. So
Yeah, no, I bet.
we'll just leave a few feet and put rock there, I guess.
Okay.
Was the best I could think of. So.
So Spencer, with a 24-foot cross section that's indicated here, that doesn't allow, there's no parking, no street side parking, right?
Yes, and you'd be the right one to talk to there as far as fire code. This would be a private lane. We would have to, in the development plan, make sure we note those types of things. Is that width would be no parking, correct? To leave that.
Right, because you don't have a car 4 feet.
Right.
You got to have 20-foot wide for the fire lane. And so in this, once we get towards the construction documents, they need to provide some signage. Fire lane, no parking, especially in the end of these turnarounds. Throughout my 25 years in the fire service, they end up being people's private parking lots. And it needs to be signed, especially down in the turnaround.
Okay.
With it being a private lane, and correct me if I'm wrong here, does that change in terms of enforcement for parking? So people can't do that?
Right.
It does?
So
Would it have to be a,
Right. They can't do anything on that private lane.
okay,
So if we go in and they are having a parking problem, we have to go back to the HOA or the homeowners. You can't involve the police. on
but
private
my
lane.
thought is like, will there be an HOA? Because it's like, do you know what I'm saying? Will it be forced? Because do we have any teeth if they're using it as a parking lot?
Yeah, as far as I understand it, and Chris can come up here and correct me if I'm wrong, there will have to be an organization, HOA, because the road's private, there will be snow removal, there'll be maintenance. We'll have a maintenance agreement that is recorded at the same time. What the details of that are, we won't really dictate, but we'll require that something is put into place. So there's not issues down the road. And this is something that could be looped into that organization, along with the secondary irrigation system and maintenance of any other property around, like that triangle corner, the stuff on the south that would be not city owned, but kind of collectively owned. So I'm not sure if that's an HOA you had in mind. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there will be an HOA.
But I'm with you when you talk about enforcement, because once it goes private like this, it is extremely difficult. And more times than not, you end up having a bad experience where people are parked where they shouldn't. And we can't access something, and then it becomes
Yeah.
a civil matter between two private properties because we were blocked out.
I was gonna say though, if they have
So-
some good teeth, I don't know. I went to Utah State and the number of times that it was like, okay, it's 11:59 on a Sunday. The parking restrictions are about to come out. Like everybody's running around to try to find, I mean, they were really good at enforcement. And it did mean it kept people safe for that.
So we would, like you said, have to see some signage to make sure that was, and then enforcement might be an issue. If they wanted to avoid that, they just have to bump up that drivable surface, curb and asphalt included, if it's a flat curb, up to 30, correct?
Yeah.
So you go to 30 feet and then you'd avoid that. So that's something you could work on where it's a private road.
Well,
That-
and even then, you're allowing parking on one side, but you're still signing one
the other
side,
side.
not parking.
Yep.
The other place to indicate that is the plat. So the
Okay.
plat would be the governing document in the future, just to say, hey, no parking along this roadway,
Okay.
depending on the width of the road at that time.
And like I say, I've seen places where it's worked out really well. A lot of the Champlin's developments do a very good job at policing, self-policing that parking.
Well, and is there an area that you could leave some extra parking for those people that might be coming to visit so that they're not then parking and no one's monitoring that?
It is on 400 East and there is some street parking along 400 East that would potentially be, but I'll be perfectly frank with you. I don't think, knowing how small that property is, they can really do a whole lot. Would you agree with me there? It's pretty narrow.
But we're talking about single family homes,
Yeah.
not.
With driveways.
Single
Yeah.
family homes. If it's on the plat, and Chris is here as well, and we'll be setting up the HOA. I think that might be something to note with people moving in. And if they see that on the plat, they may just want to bump out the width of their driveway a little bit to accommodate that after it comes in off the road or however. But that's definitely something we'll need to make sure we have signed and noted in the plat as well. So we keep that open for fire.
Yeah, and then kind of leave it up to you as the developer to to work through those problems. So, okay, I think we're probably ready to make a motion on this.
Motion to approve concept plan for the Carlson development.
All right,
Close.
motion by Emily.
Second.
Craig.
I'll give that to Craig. Second by Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes unanimously. Okay, we will move on to consideration for the approval of a contractor bid to drill a culinary production well for the city.
Hello, council. So as he's pulling this up, as you guys know, we've been working pretty hard on finding water for the city. We recently were able to go to the Excel. Yeah. So we recently went out to bid. The bid went out in April and we solicited bids for 6 weeks. We met on site with 4 different contractors to drill the well. When the bidding closed, we had 1 bid come in. The other people were they were too busy, not interested in the timeframes. Our timeframes right now are to begin, the timeframe was just to complete the well by December 31st of this year. We decided that would give us the best time or the best cost and give us the best opportunity for multiple drillers. Turned out we were only able to get 1 company to drill. They're a really good company. Their bid did come in a little higher than estimated. If you want to scroll to the bottom. So it came in at 1.6 or $1,637,770, roughly just over $2,000 a foot. So that is a well at 800 feet deep. We are working with the contractor to see if we can reduce that bid, but that is the current bid and proposal we have. Our recommendation would be to go with the bid since it is our only option right now. If we explored going back out to bid, we'd have to push the well completion date out to next December to solicit more bids. So it's just the climate we're in for drillers is not, they're very hard to get. So
Yeah, also, we have no idea where the prices will be
Yeah.
in that time too.
yeah, we don't know.
So would you recommend, you think we should accept this bid?
Yeah, I think our recommendation is to accept the proposal. Like I said, we are looking at many options. Our current well 4 is not 800 feet deep. It's only 600 feet deep and roughly $2,000 per foot to go down for the finished well. So we could reduce that by a few $100,000. But they'll do a pilot hole to see exactly where the water is. So the maximum price we would pay is the 1.637770.
Jordan, real quick question. When they were doing the exploration, the reason it's a little bit more is that they decided if they went deeper, they wouldn't be hitting the same aquifer as the other one. So are we pretty much, I guess it depends on when you get down there, but
Yeah.
aren't we wanting to go deeper so that we're hitting different water than our current
So we'll be
well?
hitting the same water. And Alan was here for well 4, so he can kind of touch on the original well 4 was supposed to go to 800 feet, but they found quality water at 6.
Oh, okay.
And so that's where they put the well. And so if we find 600 is the line to go to, that's where we would stop. But we bid it out to 800 because all of the testing we've done shows that 800's where we need to go at the deepest. So,
If approved, did they happen to give a timeline when they would start?
so they'll
the
start
drilling?
October, I think it's October 31st, and they'll end by December 31st. And they basically drill around the clock 24/7. Now, this is just to get the well punched. This isn't the building or the pump system on top of that.
Yeah,
This
do
is
we,
just to put the hole in the ground?
that was the other question I had. So what's our timeline looking like for the actual reservoir?
The reservoir or the well?
Reservoirs,
the-
the tanks.
The tanks will
right.
be a longer build. So tanks are typically 1.5 years to build. So we're looking to go out to bid on those as soon as we get our USDA or bond approved. We get the money for that. That's when we'll go out to bid for those. But now that we have the land secured, it's a lot faster.
So, but the actual wells, what's the?
So the well, we're looking to complete and be online by next spring. So
Okay,
Okay.
April, May, we hope to be able to turn this one into system.
that's
the
a
goal.
big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I
Okay.
think with what we have before us and all the other previous conversations we had over water, putting it off for another year I don't think it's the right way to go either. So I'll go ahead and make a motion that we accept the contractor bid to drill the culinary well.
All right, motion by Craig,
Second.
second by Buzzy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to consideration of the approval of a contractor bid to construct the proposed city offices. I'll just give a little bit of background on this, that we recently put out to bid. What do we call that, Alan? Just like
The first time we went out to do it, we did a CMGC processes, which is where the general contractor would be involved throughout the entire design process, work with them to see if we could lower costs. Our bid at that time came back at $8.1 million, which was much higher than our budget would allow. And so we went back out to bid for contractors with a, what's called a GMP, a guaranteed maximum price or a fixed cost limit, which is where you set the ceiling and you say, these are our designs. This is the ceiling. We're not going to go above that dollar amount. It's kind of risky going out in this market right now. We heard endless comments from those that were bidding that this is not the market to do a GMP process because of how volatile the market is right now with all of the prices on everything, the cost of oil, everything else is fluctuating. But again, Mayor, we went through this lengthy process again to send out to RFP. We did receive bids from 5 firms, and then we interviewed 3 of them.
yeah, and just so you know, council, while no one was willing to, sign a document that guarantees that maximum price, we made that very clear throughout this process that we just quite frankly don't have the money to go beyond that 6.1. So in doing these interviews, that was something key that we spoke with each of these companies about, what they could do to help us get in under that amount. So ultimately, you go ahead, Alan.
Yes, ultimately, as we went through, I mean, some of the prices were the same. There's difficulty in getting the pinpoint accurate number that they were going to do until we actually did the interviews. And we sat down with 3 of the interviews that had the best proposal. And then when we interviewed them, we just asked the point blank question, can you do this for $6.1 million and not go above that? Only one firm was able to answer that question definitively. And so that's basically the contractor that we would recommend. That contractor is Lundahl Construction. And these are all local, just to add that to the fact, except Valley Design and Construction. They're along the Wasatch Front, but Lundahl is a local builder. They're based here in Cache Valley.
I like Lundahl, a great company. I just don't see us being able to do this particular build for 6.1.
Well,
my concern.
we talked at length about this, because,
Well, that's just
we
my
don't,
concern.
it's certainly everyone's concern going into this. And something that we were sure to make clear in these interviews is that this isn't a desire to not spend over 6.1. It's just flat out, we can't. And so, what we were looking for in this process is specific ways that they can identify to reduce costs. And like Alan said, Spindler they're a great company, and they assured us that was possible, that it's possible to come in under 6.1, but couldn't really tell us until we reached the construction document phase of this. And so I think that was concerning. Lundahl identified a myriad of ways and said that there would be additional ways once we get to the construction drawings. Wasatch, they were similar to Lundahl. And then those are the 3 that we interviewed. So that's certainly a concern. The one thing that all 3 companies cautioned is that we're in an extremely volatile market, and that they said the cheapest time to build is right now, even though it doesn't feel that way. And so they encouraged us to do what we're doing, which is to figure out how we can stay within our budget and do it right now, because those costs are not going to come down in the future, or at least not predictably so. Our recommendation after being in those interviews is that the council approve Lundahl's bid for construction of the city offices. Any other comments, questions on that?
I'm not at that point to make that decision tonight, just me personally.
I'll maybe speak to as part of the interviews. The one thing I liked about Lundahl is from what drawings they had, they were able to, I want to say, wasn't it close to $1 million? I mean, they had all these negatives. They actually said, we went to this contractor, we worked along with them, and they noticed this in the plans, and they can do this. This would save you approximately $369,000. The other ones kind of says, yeah, we'll work with you and do it. So, I mean, I would say obviously with the Lundahl, they were very specific and, saying that's why they said, I think they came in at 570 something. And then they said 5.7. And then they had that contingency in there, so that with these savings, they listed with these savings, you can get 5.7. And then we would, just in case we might get to the 6.1. So
that is a good point. That they said that, you can't assume that there won't be any change orders. You can't refuse change orders because there will be those. So they recommend coming in around 5.5 or 5.6, and then leaving a cushion there for future changes.
Any timeline with Lundahl? Do they give a time they could start digging, when the whole process would kick off?
Yeah, they were one of the only ones that provided a Gantt chart timeline. They would start later this summer, midsummer, with the actual construction, and then they'd be done by August of 2023, which coincides with what the RFP stated. Can you do this by August of next year? And they've shown a way that they can.
I move that we approve the bid and award it to Lundahl for the construction of the city offices.
All right.
Second.
Motion by Buzzy, second by Emily. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. We will move on to the work session items. Updates on the Civic Center.
If you want to give updates, and I can fill in updates as well as to where we're at with both the city office and the community
Okay.
center.
Yeah, so this is a little bit of we've had a little bit of a hiccup with resubmitting this for bid, but I'm confident that we're on a good path for continuing with this project. After being in many of those meetings, I am confident that there are ways that we can reduce the costs on this, short of significantly decreasing the square footage, ceiling heights, different materials, choosing, whether lumber or steel is less expensive at the time can kind of dictate the way that we construct these buildings. But my impression, just so you guys know, that after speaking with Spindler, Lundahl, and Wasatch, I was impressed with all three and think that we would be in a good position with each of those. As far as the community center goes, we've been working with that executive committee, including James Britch, to, as we mentioned before with Lauren Bell's spotlight, we've been working to calculate, things like square footage and programming for the interior of that building. Right now, we're discussing the exterior of that building, and hoping to do that in time for the summer reading kickoff, which is June 10th. But we're being deliberate about that process so that we know that we can make sure that we have a design that people will really love. So we're still in the process of designing where the community center is concerned. And yeah, we're just, continuing on that path.
The only other thing would be and we'll talk about this a little bit later in the discussion. Maybe I'll bring that sheet up. Is the list of upcoming events. The library summer reading kickoff. It's now the fundraising activity would be Friday, June 10th, from 6:30 to 8:30, and they have a large turnout to these events. The library does. It's a huge event each year, the largest one for the library. And then in conjunction with that, one of the thoughts was is to potentially have the city office groundbreaking that same evening. Take a portion of that and just set a time right now on that Friday evening to have the city office groundbreaking. We'll have a lot of people there, help build some excitement and educate the public as to what's coming up and yeah, build excitement around it, build involvement, let the community know what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, any questions on that? All right, we'll move on to reports from city officers, boards, and committees, starting with Yubi.
I'll start by saying thank you for the recognition for the officers here at North Park and everywhere. This is truly one of those weeks where you look at the numbers that we've lost and those that we remember, you know, it's tough, but we do it because we love it and we thank the city for the support that they have given to us. Sorry, I've got a chest cold that I've been kind of overcoming. Today, the city departments all got together and gave us lunch. The PD invited us for a barbecue. So thank you, Alan, and all those that put that on. Calls of service over the last 2 weeks, 277 and 147 traffic contacts. I won't take any more of your time unless you have questions for me.
All right, thanks, Chief. Spencer, Scott, Jordan, Alan, Murray, Alan.
Just
I saw the no before I said your name, Marie.
these are just the events coming up. Obviously Memorial Day, keep that in mind. That's May 30th. That's that Monday. That's a week and a half from now at 11 a.m. up at the cemetery. A fantastic. Craig will be there, obviously, giving some remarks.
Do I have, do I do remarks?
Yes.
Yeah, I
you're-
won't be
you're
there,
required now,
Craig, so.
Craig.
Yep, I'll do.
Sorry, you're on the spot now and you're on TV, so we'll just do that. And then just going through a few other events. We spoke about the June 10th. That is a massive event. Put that on your calendar. That'll be a fantastic evening. We want everyone there. Touch a Truck is an event that was created by one of our staff members that was in rec, and he's actually moved over to water now, but he wanted to carry that forward. What is where we bring out, we work with the fire department, police department, and all the public works department. We bring out all of the trucks. So we bring out all of the vehicles from police, which is exciting, all of the fire trucks. And then several of the sweeper, the dump, or the loader, several things. No sewer Vector trucks, but they can come through and they honk the horn, they climb all over them. And what was funny is it's a simple event to put together, but we had hundreds of people attend the first and only time we've done this. So that's a really fun event for the kids throughout the community. So look forward to that. The burnout, Jordan's coordinating that. That is in conjunction somewhat with the cruising, but this year it's going to be near the end of July. 22nd is the tentative date. That'll bring out your inner redneck and come watch that event. They light up the tires, they smoke the tires, and then whoever does the best wins a major award. One year it was a set of tires. It was like $1,000 per tire. That was an amazing event. Watch for that. That will be coming up. Employee party on July 11th, and then obviously the largest Pioneer Day in the Valley, largest parade, everything. Hats off to the rec department for putting that together. Police Night Out is also shortly after that in August. We'll work together on that with the police department, police education night, and then the free skate nights in August 25th. Sorry, these are out pretty far, but just kind of put them on your radar for those events.
And just to clarify, you're still wanting us to do the serving of the breakfast on Pioneer Day? Is that, we
I
had
haven't
discussed
heard
it
back
briefly?
from Jim
Oh,
Gass,
okay.
but that would,
No.
oh, no,
Joe decided at the meeting this week that we're gonna do it this year.
Oh.
the breakfast is 100% off.
100% off.
Okay,
If that's the case, though, we'll need to talk though, because we'll still need to do the breakfast. And so we'll talk about, do we want to do it as a city? Do we want to get library personnel or anyone else to be involved in that?
okay.
To push that forward.
Okay.
It's gone on for 50 years. We might as well carry it forward.
I might know too much on that. It's a big deal and Joe works a
Yeah.
miracle every single year. So yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay. That's all I have. The only other thing, I might need to get with the council afterwards. There's a business visit with EP Systems. They've given us some dates and times of potential times to go. It would be 2 city council members and the mayor could attend because it wouldn't be a public meeting.
It's just a tour, right?
A tour. You go on the tour of EP Systems. They're the battery manufacturer. They make batteries for several different things for the Department of Defense and also for flying cars. That may sound non-existent, but it actually exists right now. So just keep that in mind.
I've been through the building, so I'll let somebody else go.
Okay.
I've been through it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go.
Someone wants to?
All right. Buzzy
Buzzy?
and Roger can arm wrestle.
So
Buzzing.
I'm a lot of fun to
Maybe
go on
depends on
tours
the
with.
date.
I'm just saying.
right,
They
I'll go
would be
with Emily.
around.
There you go.
She's on the record.
May 31st.
But I'm a lot of fun, yes.
So then
May-
I'm out. Does
May
that,
31st and June 1st.
yeah, I'm out for both those. So does that mean,
Do I want to I might need to just email and reschedule for a date later because you'll probably want to do that. Mayor.
that'd be great if I could, but
Okay. I'll get with all 3 of you then and I'll just send out an email.
okay.
Okay.
On that note, I've asked Buzzy to chair that June 1st city council meeting. So just so
Excellent.
you guys know.
So we'll be done by 6:45.
Oh,
You know what, Buzzy, I may make it look easy, but be my guest.
I actually just want to compliment how well we've done tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, anything else?
No,
On that?
that's it. Sorry.
Okay, it looks like we will go into executive session. We'll take a couple minute break. Do we need to make a motion to do
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd entertain that motion.
So moved.
Motion by Buzzy.
Second.
Second.
That was by Craig.
Oh,
Motion by
sorry.
Craig.
Motion by Craig, second by Emily. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right, we will adjourn for executive session.
We went to Georgia to see my son graduated from basic training. So last weekend, we were in Georgia down for meetings, and she wanted to go to the gym one day. Was she a gym rat? This is-
Craig.